Well, it seemed just not long ago that Ubisoft announced its biggest, greatest, most amazing title ever. And as a Ubisoft closet fanboy of old, I mean, I loved all the Assassin's Creed games basically up till Valhalla. And I absolutely adored Odyssey, thinking it was one of the fucking best games made in a very, very, very long time, and I firmly put it along the same lines as The Witcher. Given my surprise at Assassin's Creed Shadows release, I was a little bit skeptical at first. I mean, it seemed something was very off about this world, something a little restrictive, something, oh god, they made the main character goddamn black. And that wouldn't have been a problem if it wasn't implemented in such a distasteful way. It's almost a fuck you to certain people. And you know what? In many ways, it's almost as if they created the whole game and at the last minute decided to make him that way, which obviously didn't happen, but is how they made it feel. I mean, it's so out of place and it's such a bizarre gaming design choice that they literally could have done 100 other things and made Yasuke not a black dude. And by that, I mean they probably could have picked 1,000 other better characters from Japanese history to play as in this very anticipated Ubisoft game. It left a very nasty taste in a lot of gamers' mouths, and you can see the online discourse very easily when you look around the internet. So it makes you really beg the question of whether or not the implementation had some political message attached to it. Do we know what that could be? Maybe it's the woke ideology. Now, people will often go against people who say woke as what is woke? What defines woke? Well, let's define woke for a second. Woke generally means, and you can see this pretty much to a T, that there is an implementation of things that seem very out of place to prove some kind of political messaging. That people who are of unrepresented groups are somehow meaningful in spaces where there were traditionally straight white males. So it becomes even more jarring when a game that should absolutely have a male Japanese man, there's suspiciously absent in replaces of an African male. It really, 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 really rubs you off the wrong way. It really shows that they are saying, well, these are better people than what, yes, these are the people we're going to put in your games. And you don't have to like it, but we're going to do it anyway. You know why? Is because these unrepresented groups should have a voice. They should be in these spaces. There should be always be gay characters in games. There should always be black people in games. But you know what? That doesn't make sense for logic, because in these settings, in these universes, in these realities in gaming, it's highly unbelievable that A, there would be a black samurai accepted in Japanese culture such as Yasuke is depicted in this video game, and B, I mean, think about this logically for a second. In ancient Japan, is it really believable that they would allow a big hulking black man to going around slaughtering thousands of Japanese soldiers from various tribes, more than likely, and they would just let him go about his day? No. Immediately he would be arrested by guards. Immediately he would be interrogated and put at the council of the leaders in the region. And there is no way that this would ever be a believable story. Why? It's because sadly in history, realistically, people were not very accepting. And it's very likely that Yasuke was more of a kind of a trophy, something to just kind of keep around for entertainment. They dressed him up in samurai gear, let him do a few training exercises. Maybe they let him fight in battles too. But there was never a point in history where Yasuke would be a very powerful samurai, and there is absolutely no way they would allow him tramps around the country, destroying things, breaking things, killing people, and get away with it. It's not historically accurate, and it doesn't make any sense beyond the fact that Ubisoft was trying to just stick it to gamers who wanted to play as a Japanese man and run around in Japanese history. And Ubisoft may be thinking that they're being sneaky with this one, considering they think that everybody will buy Assassin's Creed Shadows just because of the fact that it's a Japan based Assassin's Creed game, but that's simply not the case. I mean, look at me. I'm a fanboy of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I do not want to play this game. I do not care about the story of Yasuke. The whole discourse around it makes me feel very uncomfortable, and in general I'm not going to buy this game, and I don't overly like the look of it and the feel of it because it just is a very sour tasting experience. We play the video games for the characters we love, and when you don't like a diversity hire needlessly inserted into a game, I'm not gonna play it because it's not a likable story. And Yasuke is a very, very um, just not normal feeling insert into a game that I could have potentially liked. So yeah, I mean that is the truth about why Ubisoft put them in. There's no other reason. There's no other explanation. There's no other there's simply no reason to have made him a black character besides the point of some political messaging, some political attempts to show some kind of social diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense, and to just purposely insert it and puke it into our video games. And everybody should be upset about this because this could only be the beginning. If they had their way, every game would be gay and lame. Every single game would have these diversity inserts. And when you talk to people and get opinions of a lot of these, actual minorities, of all cultures all around the world, they will tell you that it makes them feel uncomfortable. They don't like the fact that these companies are using representation to gain some kind of social credit score. It really, really puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth, except for these activist fucks who think that for some reason everything should be diverse. So, as someone who's played and enjoyed video games my entire life and sank probably at least a good percentage of my life playing video games, I must concur that Assassin's Creed Shadows is just a diversity hire that makes a lot of people very uncomfortable and makes a lot of people not want to play this game. And Ubisoft stocks failing is proof that what they're doing isn't working, and it's making everyone of every ethical background feel very, very uncomfortable, except for the people who like to push this nonsense, who think that the world has to be all soft and lame, and don't respect history. They don't respect the values of art and storytelling. I think there's a massive disconnect in the gaming industry now where there's two camps. There are people who are passionate and they love video games and they just want to create good art and they have the skills to do so. And then there are other people who have very little skills and they have very little artistic integrity and they just want to use video games like everything else, like movies, board games, anything you can fucking think of, social programs, whatever it is, to push their bizarre narrative that somehow they're underrepresented and somehow diverse casts and hires are more important than anything else. So yeah, I'm the gaming journalist that will tell it exactly how it fucking is and speak my opinion, which can't be said for a lot of people these days. So that's my take on why they made Assassin's Creed Shadows main character black. And in my opinion, this is very true because they should have taken the vote for the fans and made him just a Japanese character from history because that would have been fucking dope. But instead, they had to make the stupid, lame, dumb choice of just doing that for some kind of one up on the gamers that built them into what they are.